Hey, yeah, welcome back. If you don't know me, I'm TK, and this channel is all about doing some makeup, doing a little food, and having a lot of fun. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then do all the YouTubey things. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And how is everyone today? I hope wherever you are, you're having a good day. This is the video that's going to make last week's video complete. I had filmed 4 different songs for Music and Makeup Monday last week that had got heavy metal covers, and I lost my video halfway through, so I basically lost 2 songs. So I'm going to cover those songs today, and if that sounds like a good time to you, then stick around. I'll be right back. All right, let's talk about the makeup first, and then we can talk about the music. So today's look is going to be, once again, I got a lot of good feedback from the look I did last week. It was primarily like black and blue. So this week we're going to go with another black look. It's going to be, I'm going to try to do, some kind of metal treatment. Obviously, if we're using black, we're going to Life's a Drag, right here to Shady, because I love that black, how deep it is. I think we're going to probably go to the Midas X Smoky Glow palette. I think I'm going to grab that Dofa. I want to go with the Eternal Eclipse palette from Lunar Beauty. I'm looking at this. This is a heavy palette. Luxury, of course. Looking at that adamantium silver color right there. And we are also looking at another loose pigment from Lorena Makeup. It's this one. It's a multi-chrome called Sinner. Now, it's showing up on my monitor as like a purple, but it looks a lot more red, so we're going to maybe work on a red look this week. Okay, so metal covers. These are songs that when you hear them, you wouldn't necessarily think metal. You wouldn't even think of a metal cover being done. So I really give a lot of credit to the artists that covered these, the metal artists or hard rock. There's some dispute in my household about whether this is metal or whether this is hard rock. I can't really speak to that because I don't understand all the nuances of either one. I just go with metal because my frame of reference is the 80s, and in the 80s these covers wouldn't really have been I don't think they would have been classified as hard rock. I think they would have been classified as metal. So the cool thing about these songs, the songs I did last week and the songs that I'm going to do this week, they wouldn't have even been classified as rock and roll when they were first released. So to get a metal cover is like actually pretty cool. So that's why I wanted to talk about these. The first song up, or third if you're still counting from last week, is a song that I think pretty much everybody knows. They certainly know the artist. He's an absolute legend in country music. Garth Brooks, The Thunder Rolls. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
3:30 in the morning, not a soul in sight. City's looking like a ghost town on a moonless summer night. Raindrops on the windshield, there's a storm moving in. He's heading back from somewhere that he never should have been. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. Every light is burning in a house across town. She's pacing by on the telephone in her faded flannel gown, asking for a miracle, hoping she's not right, praying it's the weather that has kept him out all night. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls, and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold, on a sleepless night as the storm goes on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls.
Okay, and that is the Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that song. He co-wrote it with Pat Alger. It was recorded and released in 1991, and it's the fourth single from his album No Fences. It was his sixth number one on the Billboard country charts. So when they wrote the song, they had originally pitched the song to Tanya Tucker, who was a pretty big country artist in the 70s. When she first started, I think she was like 14 or something like that. She was famous for a song called Teddy Bear. And then she kind of reinvented herself in the 80s, sort of this black leather chick, you know, and she did a lot more harder country. So, of course, it's 1991. They were pitching it to Tanya Tucker, and her producer wanted a third verse. Which to me, I think that song has three verses. Just because you don't have a chorus in between the first two doesn't mean you don't have three verses, but it's whatever. Sometimes you'll see that, sometimes you'll see where they say Thunder Rolls with the fourth verse, and sometimes you'll see with the third verse, but it's always that extra verse that they're talking about. That third verse that you hear is actually canon. Brooks and Algers went back and they wrote that third verse. Ultimately, she decided not to put it on the album she was working on. Garth Brooks' producer, who was a bit disappointed that they'd actually given it to Tanya Tucker to record, he was pretty happy that she didn't want to put it on the album, and he told Brooks, he's like, you're going to do this for No Fences. They did not use the third verse for Garth Brooks' version, but I'll tell you who did. I came across this on TikTok, actually. It's a group, this is the group State of Mine, M-I-N-E. It was a cover of Thunder Rolls, and it was a metal cover, and I'm like, Garth Brooks metal cover. Like, my mind couldn't even wrap around that. This one includes that third verse. So we're going to listen to State of Mind's cover. This is featuring No Resolve and Brandon Davis, who's going to give us that third verse.
She's waiting by the window when he pulls into the drive. Rushes out to hold him, thankful he's alive. All the wind and rain, the strange new perfume blows, and the lightning flashes in her eyes, and he knows that she knows, and the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night as the storm blows on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder down the hallway and through the bedroom door. She reaches for the pistol kept in the dresser drawer. Tells the lady in the mirror he won't do this again, 'cause tonight will be the last time she wonder where he's been. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night as the storm blows on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls.
So that third verse went dark real fast. So that was State of Mind, Thunder Rolls. The song debuted at number one on the Billboard Hot Hard Rock Songs. And remember, for these metal covers, we really can't talk about the Billboard Hot 100 because that's really just a measure of pop music, even though At one point in time, Billboard said it wasn't, but later on, I think they sort of silently admitted that it was. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot Hard Rock Songs chart on February 6th with 500,000 streams and 9,000 downloads sold the week ending January 28th. It was the first cover to debut at the chart's top since the chart's inception. Just like Disturbed for their cover of Sounds of Silence, this band also received a thumbs up from the original artist, Garth Brooks, via TikTok, and I'm going to play that right now.
Well, Garth, I'm going to hand this one over to you.
Thank you. And also thank you for how you interpreted it, because, man, you played it the way I wish I had balls enough to play it.
What really kind of got me with when Garth was saying, like, congratulations, guys, whatever, he loved it. And he was like, oh, that's the way I would have loved to have done it. And I was like, what? Garth Brooks? What are you talking about, son? And so I kind of dug into it a little bit more as I was doing research for this anyways. And I discovered that Garth has actually covered quite a few other rock songs. He covered Bob Dylan's To Make You Feel My Love, which you probably know. But then he also covered Aerosmith's The Fever and Hard Luck Woman, which was done by Kiss. He covered Little Feat's Dixie Chicken. I'm like, well, so this kind of goes back and forth. So Garth does hard rock covers, and hard rock does covers of Garth. I was absolutely thrilled to see the video from Garth. He's always been very, very guarded about his music. If you notice, his stuff isn't streamed on the major platforms because he's always been very guarded about how his music was done and how his music was presented. He was never for the whole put my music on a streaming platform and people can just buy the songs that they want. He's sort of from the old school where every album was a story, every album was a collection and needed to be consumed as such. We've changed as music listeners where we don't really look at albums anymore, and I guess Garth has loosened up a little bit with that since I found his music on Amazon. When I even saw that there had been metal covers of his music, I was totally shocked. And then to see this TikTok from him saying, like, well done, that was just amazing. That is The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks, metal cover by State of Mind. Okay, so I'm not necessarily a fan of metal music. I consider myself to be a fan of singing. So I enjoy lots of different styles of people singing. I love to hear vocal calisthenics, range, whatever you want to call it. Of course, as you can imagine, I'm a huge fan of Mariah Carey. I went and listened to State of Mind, and I just absolutely love his voice. I love how sort of dark and grungy it is, but he has such range to kind of bring you up and down and up and down. And I just think his music is great. It's almost like an ocean, in a storm, which is kind of what Garth was trying to write when he wrote Thunder Rolls. When he set out to write Thunder Rolls, he wanted to talk about how storms roll through marriages. And this song actually got banned for a minute too because of that third, or you may call it the fourth verse, because they're like, oh, domestic violence, whatever. I get it. But there's lots and lots of country songs out there that have tragic endings. So if you're going to play Alyssa Lies and you're going to play Goodbye Earl, then you shouldn't ban this one either. So the song did get banned for a while, and then VH1 started playing it again. It's pretty much, I think, exactly what Garth was going for, which is, marriage isn't always wine and roses. It's not your wedding day from that point forward. There's lots of storms that roll through marriages. This one is pretty much self-inflicted. I think the song exactly expresses how that feels when everything goes south in a matter of seconds. So, Thunder Rolls, Garth Brooks, covered by State of Mind. Next one we're going to cover. Okay, this one for me is a song that I've loved for a long time. It is Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen's version of it, what has been recorded and recorded and recorded by many different artists. The one we all know is from John Cale, because that is the one that was in the movie Shrek, not the one that was on the soundtrack, the one that was actually in the movie, and that's the one we're going to listen to right now.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above. All I ever learned from love was how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. And it's not a cry you can hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
I'm pretty sure that by now you all are like, oh yeah, I know that song. Leonard Cohen originally released this song in 1984 with very little fanfare. He literally wrote 80 different verses to this song. So other artists that have covered it have picked and chosen what verses that they wanted to include. And so you could take 50 people that have heard the song and they would all know it differently, possibly. The song actually gained most of its popularity in 2001 with the release of Shrek. While the studio had John Cale record the song for the movie, when they actually did the soundtrack, they used Rufus Wainwright's version. Leonard Cohen took the song on tour. He sang lots of different verses, lots of different cities. That's why I say, you could take 50 people that heard him sing it in concert and they would go, well, wait a minute, I don't think that's the right words. You're changing the words. The song has charted 3 different times for 3 different artists because a lot of people love the song. They sing the song. I think it's up there with one of the most used songs for talent show debuts like X Factor or American Idol. And that leads us into our cover. Jeff Gutt auditioned with Hallelujah for X Factor, and that went something like this.
And what are you going to sing?
I'm going to sing Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
There was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? But I see your flag on the marble arch, but love is not a victory march to call their needs a broken hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah.
I've sat in this chair a long time. It was one of the most brilliant auditions I've heard. Jeffrey, you've got 4 big fat yeses.
Okay, so big hint right there when Simon says, oh, I've sat in this chair a long time and I've heard that song. Everybody picks it to audition with. As a vocalist myself, yeah, it's easy to sing. It's impressive. And it has just an amazing chord progression that lends itself to impressing someone or making them feel a certain way, which makes them feel good about your audition. And sometimes you have to pick songs based on whether or not the song is going to create like a good feeling or not a good feeling about your particular vocal performance. It's always definitely something to keep in mind. When I heard that, I was like, oh, this is incredible. I hope he actually recorded that and did something with it. I hope he didn't just leave it there as an audition piece. And as it turns out, yes, he did a full-on, full-blown cover of the song. It's in a video on YouTube. The video is amazing, so let's go ahead and watch it now.
I used to live alone before I knew you, but I see your flag on the marble arch, but our love is not a victory march to call and it's so broken. Hallelujah, oh hallelujah, hallelujah,
That is Jeff Gutt's Hallelujah. How amazing. An amazing cover. To me, an amazing video. Well done. Okay, yeah. He auditioned for X Factor in 2012. He released that video in 2013. In 2016, Stone Temple Pilots recruited him to be their lead singer to replace Chester Bennington. I guess it had got leaked that he was going to be the new lead singer. Stone Temple Pilots was like, no, we're working with lots of singers. And then they finally came out and they were like, yeah, it's going to be him. What I thought was amazing was that Stone Temple Pilots chose him because they thought he would do the most justice to their previous hits, which, you know, bands get married to that stuff. I mean, they absolutely get married to their previous hits. So while I'm not a fan of Stone Temple Pilots necessarily, I did like the song they did for the Crow soundtrack, Big Empty. That, if you like metal music, the Crow soundtrack is fantastic. And I think if you are just getting introduced to metal music and you never listened to it much before, that's a good place to start. So that is Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, originally covered by at least 3 other artists who charted with it. Got an amazing heavy metal cover by Jeff Gutt, who sang it as his audition piece for X Factor. This is our finished eye look. We've got a little tidying up to do, I think, and some foundation that would work and fit. I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back to wind up. Okay, and we are back with a final look. What do y'all think? I don't know if this is metal enough. You have to tell me. That blush, by the way, that is absolutely kicking. And if you saw it in real life, you'd be like, too much. It's from Moira. This is their signature ombre blusher, Ruby Flush, and it is amazing. If you want to know about that black lip, obviously, for me, it is Lunar Beauty's Wicked. Yeah, and we've gone over it with a little bit of the silver from the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette. All right, let's talk about the music. Our first song, Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. Recorded and released in 1991. Originally designed to go to Tanya Tucker, who is a famous country music artist at that time. She wanted to do it, but her producer wanted a third, or sometimes referred to as a fourth verse, which Garth wrote with Pat Alger, the co-writer of the song. She recorded the song and ultimately decided not to release it on that album. it has been since released. So if you want to hear that, you can look it up. It's on YouTube Music. Tucker decided to drop the song, and so Garth's producer was like, awesome, you're going to do that song, and we're going to put it on No Fences. And it actually turned out to be his 6th #1 on the Billboard country music charts. They did not do the 3rd, 4th verse on the album. He often performs that in concert, but they did not put it on the album. The song was banned for a short amount of time because people thought it promoted domestic abuse and so on, but I think in light of songs like Goodbye Earl and Alyssa Lies, you really need to put this one out there too. The song's been basically put back into rotation. On February 6, 2021, State of Mind debuted at #1 with this song on the Billboard Hot Rock Songs chart, the first time anybody ever did that since the inception of the chart. They got a thumbs up from Garth himself on TikTok, and they did record with that 3rd / 4th verse with No Resolve and Brandon Davis featuring. And our second song, or 4th if you're still counting from the other last one, is Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, very well known. He recorded and released the song in 1984, went absolutely nowhere, but we all know it from the 2001 movie Shrek, which featured the John Cale recording of it. Of course, when they did the soundtrack, they used the Rufus Wainwright recording of it. The song has charted at least 3 different times with 3 different artists at varying degrees of success. Cohen himself took the song on tour from 1985 to 1991, singing different selections of the 80 verses that he wrote for it. So if you've heard the song and go, I don't recognize any of those verses, you wouldn't be alone. It's the one that was in the Shrek movie, the John Cale version, that has been the basis for most people covering the song or using the song as an audition piece for the different talent shows like X Factor and American Idol. That brings us to our hard rock cover by Jeff Gutt, who auditioned with the song on X Factor in 2012, created a video of the song in 2013. He then has gone on to become the frontman for the group Stone Temple Pilots. And that wraps up our Music and Makeup Monday for this week. I hope you all enjoyed these metal covers. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night. And I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're taking care of each other. Be kind. And as always, I'll see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.
Hallelujah.